click OK. That's what I'll do. Okay, good. Then very warm welcome to this webinar. It's the second webinar we hold from Foodity and DRG4Food. Now, this one is very much targeted to the funding opportunities, as you'll see in the title, because both projects, Foodity and DRG4Food, that operate under the same call will have open calls that will be launched in September for Foodity and in October for DRG4Food. So there will be a total of 4 open calls launched by both projects. And this webinar has the purpose of introducing the background of these calls, introducing also their nature, and then help you to get geared, hopefully, for applying for these open calls by answering your questions and providing answers to these open calls. Now, without further ado, what I'd like to do is to hand over and introduce real quick just the agenda. So what we will do is we will introduce Foodity, the project, and the background of the project. That will be done by Samuel and Nika. Then we will also introduce the DRG4Food project. Very similarly, the project and the open calls, that will be done by Maja. And then a little bit later than on the hour, so at 11:05, we plan to answer your questions. You might already want to type in your questions in the chat, and then we will answer them in the Q&A. So bear with us just a little bit. We introduce both projects, and then we will answer the questions. And I'm really happy that we are coming here together with both projects. So we're collaborating quite a bit. You will see that both projects are a little bit different. As I said, they're both on the same call. They're both with the same purpose of making the food system much more data savvy, because we believe that's what's needed. And our open calls will help us do this with projects like yours. And without further ado, Samuel, I'll hand over to you and Nika, and please introduce to us the Foodity project. Thank you very much.
Sure thing. Thanks so much, Kai. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope everyone's having a great start to their week. Let me just bring up this presentation, and hopefully it'll go into full screen, and should be now. I think so. Just let me double check. Yeah. Okay. So thanks again so much. Thank you for your patience. As you might have already received over the past 24 hours, a couple of messages with the link. So I appreciate your patience on that. So in fact, as Kai said, this is we are 2 projects under the same, let's say, European Commission topic, but we have our differences, and we're here to show how our funding program might be suited to you. Okay, so let me take care of my slides. So I'm Samuel, or you can feel free to call me Sam if we ever cross paths. I am the coordinator of the Foodity project. Okay, so we started in January this year. We are a 7-team or 7-partner consortium from 7 different countries, a multidisciplinary consortium reaching from targeting, let's say, social innovation, technology, data, citizen engagement. So we have a bit of everything to deliver our activities, our work plan. Okay, so first thing I want to do is kind of put everyone on the spot and ask you to briefly reflect on your habits, whether that be related to food, nutrition, your health, and the different apps and services that you use. Okay, so take a minute to think about that, and then ask yourselves, what kind of data do you generate when you're going grocery shopping, or when you're doing exercise? The information that your smartwatch is collecting, or your iPhone, or whatever mobile device you might have. And what kind of access do you have to that data? Okay, you see it on the user interface, and you see a bunch of pretty, let's say, graphics and information, but how much control do you really have over that data? Can you access it? Can you use it freely? Could you transfer it from one device to another? Could you definitively remove that data if you wanted to? Those are. Have you ever thought and took a moment to think about that? And if so, then maybe this is the right kind of project for you to kind of join us and think about what we have to offer. Because in fact, what Foodity is trying to deliver and what our main aims are is essentially putting the control of people's food and nutrition data back into their hands. Okay, and that means whatever you give to a specific system, you in the end have full control over what happens with that data, okay? And by having more control of that data, of course, in let's say a medium to long term, you can also contribute to a better and more sustainable food and nutrition system because there is a greater awareness of people's food consumption patterns and their practices. And in the long term, of course, that might have an impact. So by being more aware of the data that you have and the data that you give and you offer, you can also be making better choices, healthier choices, more environmentally sustainable choices. Okay, so that's another important aim. And then equally important is for us to improve the limitations that exist with current solutions and services that somehow restrict let's say the flexibility that we have over data, and then let's say put that control back into citizens' hands. And that goes into the main topic that we have of data sovereignty or citizens' rights to sovereignty. Okay, so in a nutshell, these are sort of our four main aims, which kind of drive our open call. Okay, and essentially want to create an ecosystem of digital solutions, okay, that respect citizens' right to personal data sovereignty. Okay, it all fits in quite nicely to what I just mentioned before. And how do we achieve that? We have a 2 million pilot development program. Okay, so in a fancy word, those are open calls, which we'll get to in just a second. And we'll be funding 12 solutions that in fact demonstrate that data-driven innovation in food and nutrition and linked to users' control over personal data. Okay, solutions that enable the user to have full control over the data, move it around as they want, handle it, delete it, share it in whatever form they think is best. Okay, so just looking to the side so I can control my time. Okay, so in a nutshell, we will run 2 open calls. Okay, the first to be launched in September. We'll have 2 million euros in funding to be divided between the 2 programs the 2 open calls. Both will run for 12 months, and then we'll be looking for 12 solutions that will also have to run their own pilot. Something important to note here, because we're only launching in September, we're still fine-tuning a couple of things. So although most of the information that I'll be sharing you is quite already, let's say, mature, there might be some final tweaks in the program and the conditions. So nothing here today is fully binding. What is in the official documentation is what you should consider. All right. So moving on to our open call 1 specifically. Let me just double check. Yeah. So we're going to be funding a first open call 6 projects. Okay. Again, to develop data-driven innovation solutions associated to food and nutrition. It'll be sort of a funnel approach style of open call, where there's a first phase where we'll fund 6 teams up to 150,000 euros per team. There's a specific set of stages. The top 3 projects or best evaluated projects then move on to a second phase, which runs for 3 months, and they get an additional 30,000 euros. There you'll be doing specific pilot testing, working with citizens to actually validate your solution, how they in fact, and by they, I mean the citizens can in fact have control, what kind of impression or feelings they get by actually piloting your solutions in terms of data control. And then the best project of these 3 will receive an additional 7,500 euros. And this will all be part of let's say, a bigger event that we will hold at the end of the 12 months. Okay, so who is this for? Okay, we have 4 main, let's say, target groups. We have smaller SMEs or startups. Okay, so anything from 2 to 3 people up to the 250. Let's say people per enterprise to be classified as an SME. And these will have to be, let's say, technical organizations that will be developing the solutions. Then we're also interested in having research and technology organizations or universities, people that want to also advance the current state of the art in food and nutrition. We're looking for social innovation actors, NGOs, and citizen associations. So people that have a real connection to citizens and that want to make an impact in the world in these domains. And then also an opportunity for training organizations, whether that be somehow linked to the food industry and making an impact in that area. So in terms of specific composition, we're looking at a minimum of 2 up to 3 partners per consortium. Okay, so likely always led by an SME, and then the second or third partner, depending on the type of consortium you form, will have to include an RTO, a social innovation actor, or a training organization. or in the eventuality of a third partner, a second SME. Okay, so we're kind of fine-tuning a couple of things here, but keep in mind that there has to be a mix and a non-negotiable, we would say, a multidisciplinary team and a capacity to ensure citizen engagement. Okay, we want you to bring citizens into the process, into the development of the solution, to the testing of the solution. Okay, that's an important aspect of our open call. And also to be able to show social innovation, okay? So the capacity to drive a change in the short to, let's say, medium term in terms of behaviors and the way we manage data, okay? So the scope of the solutions, what are we looking for? So we've structured our open call into 3 main areas plus an open challenge. We don't have very specific challenge or topics that you have to focus on, but rather we've clustered them into 3 main areas, which are data for food, nutrition, and personalization, data for food sustainability, and data for shopping experiences. Then we have the 4th, let's say, open challenge, where we're fully open to having something that is completely out of the box, something that we might not have yet thought of, and we're open to having that. Regardless, these solutions, as I've been mentioning more than once, have to be data-driven, okay? So you have to collect data, you have to process that, you have to be able to give full control to the citizens over their data, okay, of the personal data. And for that to happen, we have 2, let's say, technologies within our project: the data U, which is sort of like an interface between the management and the management of data, permissions, granting access to different from the solution to where the data is actually stored, which is in fact the data lake. So we have another component or infrastructure that we have is our data lake, which basically will store data, public data that citizens have agreed to make available. Okay, then there's another important condition to keep in mind. We're looking to fund at least 1 project per each of the areas that I've mentioned, 1, 2, and 3. We want to see some diversity, of course. As part of our project, we're developing different components related to food scanning. I apologize, I don't know them off by heart, but nutritional scanning. There's a couple other things that I'll look for that you can ask me in the Q&A part. I'll get that information for you. And all projects must use the data U and data lake to some extent, okay, to make use of the infrastructure that we're developing within the project. Okay, so moving on, just double checking. Okay, so how are we going to evaluate these proposals in 4 main items? Okay, the concept and the challenge, how in fact your proposal is aligned with the Foodity project. What are your specific objectives? How are you in making an advance in terms of the state of the art? What kind of impact are you going to deliver? And what is the innovation associated to your project? We know there's a lot of different solutions out there, but again, keep in mind, many of these are kind of closed within themselves. We want to see how you're making impact and delivering innovation in terms of making the data that you collect, that you harvest from citizens, a bit more flexible and open, so that this data sovereignty kicks in, okay? Data rights and citizen engagement, something very important I have to stress. We want people to be more conscious of their rights. We want citizens to be engaged fully throughout the program. You have to show us how that is going to happen. And that's why it's important to bring on different types of organizations into your consortium. And then the team and implementation, okay? How is the work plan going to expand over the initial 9 months, the additional 3 if you get to that phase? What are you planning to do to exploit the results and to promote your solution, okay? So you have a 12-month program eventually. What other mechanisms will you have in place to scale that up, to go beyond, to make your solution more successful? And then, of course, we want to see associated to the former or the earlier, I would say, how you have the capacity as a team to mobilize the citizens that we're looking for. So what else do you get by participating in our program? So obviously you can receive up to 187,500 euros. Okay, keep in mind this is the max you get, and that's essentially for the final winner. But 6 solutions granted will get 150,000 in this first open call, and then another 3 will get another 30,000 euros. Okay, so not too bad. You'll get access to our technology. So we have some components, we have data sets, we have the data lake, the data use. So there's a whole bunch of things that we're developing within the project that you'll be able to use, some of which we expect you to use, okay? expert mentoring in terms of these different technologies, in terms of other topics as well, you know, business. We'll tailor the mentoring that you receive specific to your specific needs, specific things that you're looking for to be able to scale up and have a more, let's say, positive experience within our program. Then you'll have group coachings, technical trainings on different topics. Okay, so very tailored. It won't be one program that addresses everyone. We'll try to, you know, adapt each project to a specific set of, say, a specific set of expertise. Okay. So coming to the end, just key things to remember. Okay. So in terms of the timeline, we're targeting the launch of the open call for the 5th of September, closing on the 8th of November. Okay, so just after, let's say, the traditional summer break. In terms of the team, we're looking at 2 to 3 entities led by an SME, an RTO, and then social innovation actor. Okay, so there might be a bit of a mix and match here. Again, keep in mind the final conditions that will define exactly what we're expecting. But if this is something that interests you, you might want to start making some contact. And then, of course, the scope, data-driven solutions in the food and nutrition domains, and most importantly, respecting personal data sovereignty, giving access and control of data to the people that give that data away. So I encourage you, I invite you to visit foodity.eu for all of the information associated to the open call or upcoming webinars. We'll have at least 2. And as I've mentioned before, most of this information is quite mature, but there might be some fixes here and there. So keep in mind the documentation will be the final and let's say main guidance that you need to keep in mind when preparing your open call. So that being said, I'll just wrap up with a challenge and invite you to embrace the challenge of developing innovative solutions that respect citizens' personal data and contribute to more and better sustainable food systems. So if you're up to this challenge, we invite you to join us in our upcoming open call. And that's all I have to say for now. Looking forward to your questions in a few minutes, and I'll hand over the floor to Maja. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Samuel. Give me just a couple of seconds to share my screen. So I suppose you can all see my screen. My name is Maja. I'm a growth manager at INOSENS and the open call manager behind our upcoming accelerator program at DRG4FOOD EU project. Today, our goal is to guide you through the basic concepts that we are dealing with in DRG4FOOD. Please keep in mind that although most of the information is quite fine-tuned, there is still some room for some final fixes. So please, for all the official up-to-date information, please consult our website on October 1st, once our first open call launches. What is actually DRG4FOOD? In a nutshell, it's an accelerator program offering ultimate pathway for researchers who are teaming up with startups and SMEs in order to build solutions towards achieving a more responsible food system. We will guide these small consortia, small teams from planning phases through piloting and market launch. So it's a 3-step program, and along the way we offer individualized coaching, mentoring, and our focus is basically on innovative, trustworthy by default, data-driven digital solutions for the food industry. Our program is all about boosting trust, transparency and responsibility. We have devised a set of, let's say, proprietary criteria that will guide you throughout this entire process, not only during the program, but also during your application stages. In short, we'll run 2 open calls of offering 1.9 million funding in total, with a maximum budget of 300,000 euros per pilot. So this is the maximum expected amount that the teams can receive if they get accepted to the program. Who are we targeting? We are looking for small teams from 2 to 3 partners to team up. We are looking for legal entities, so no physical persons can join. They have to be already an established entity in order to apply. Basically, we're looking for complementary entities, both technology providers, SMEs, startups, and also researchers. There has to be a research team inside. So a startup or an SME teams up with a research group, and ideally they have an adopter and user from the agri-food value chain in their consortium. This is an ideal structure of the consortium. Together, they receive a maximum budget, equity-free, ranging from 150 to 300,000 euros. The grants will depending on the duration of the project, depending on the size of the team, of the resources required, and so on. So please, when requesting your budget, please take into consideration how long is your proposed project, how many partners do you have, what exact resources do you need in order to be able to ask for a realistic budget. We will also take into consideration the technology readiness levels of your solutions, so please be mindful of these details. What do we actually offer? Once you enter the program, you become, let's say, a part of our pool of pilot projects. Each project is expected to last from 9 to 12 months. It's completely hybrid, so combining some on-site activities, for example, events that we jointly organize, but most of the program takes place online. So apart from the funding, we will offer, let's say, tech pool of resources, let's say a suite of open source tools to help you along the way. But not only that, we also have experts in our team who will be with you throughout the program in order to guide you to properly implement all those criteria that we are focused on, the digital responsibility goals. So you will also have dedicated coaching, both group and one-on-one, and networking, not only with experts from our consortium, but also a wider pool of experts, investors, potential investors, and also peer connections within your own industry. How our timeline looks like, our first out of 2 calls is launching on October 1st. It will be open for 2 months. Then we enter from December to February, we enter the evaluation, selection, and contracting phase, where we will deeply dive into your applications, check whether they are eligible and how they're aligned with our overall missions and visions. We will have both external and internal evaluators, and each application will be checked by at least 2 reviewers to avoid any potential bias during the evaluation itself. And then from March onwards, the actual program starts, divided into 3 phases. And I will dig deeper into each phase a bit later. What's important for you to know is the maximum amount, which ranges from 150 to 300,000 euros equity free. We are not accepting, we will not be accepting single applicants. So if you want to apply, please do it collaboratively in the form of a consortium, combining at least 2 to 3 partners with complementary expertise. So startups, SMEs, researchers, and users, please think of the best potential candidates to form a consortium, and we will help you a bit in this direction. I will explain in my last slide how. So be with us. Our novelty with respect to the evaluation and selection is the pool of digital responsibility goals. Usually, we have the standard criteria that you have seen across many different open calls and similar programs, such as impact, business scalability, and potential to grow. This is what we will also focus on during our evaluation and selection. We will also pay attention to the structure of your team, who is there, what are their past relevant experiences. But most importantly, we will particularly pay attention to how your solution aims to make a positive impact towards a digital, data-driven food system based on responsibility, transparency, and trust. This is where our digital responsibility goals come into place. Please bear in mind that more detailed information will be provided in October in the official open call documentation. You will receive a checklist to guide you throughout the process. It might seem a bit complicated, but trust us, it is not. It is the DRGs are here only to guide you to make sure that your solutions are fully aligned with our overall mission of boosting trust, transparency, and responsibility in the food system. How the DRGs are translated into our evaluation criteria. Basically, we have devised a set of requirements. They are mostly non-technical requirements that will be mandatory. They are basically a short yes or no questions asking for either none or a small justification and explanation of, for example, how are you planning to ensure user control of their data? How do you ensure that your solution is secured from cybersecurity threats or some attacks. If you envision any risks of such kind, and so on. So we want to see that you're proactive in this regard of making sure your solution is fully, let's say, responsible, trustworthy by default, so that you're proactive, that you're thinking in advance, that you have prior experience in these 10 criteria, and that all of these will be firmly embedded in your upcoming solution that you aim to pilot and bring to market during our program. So more information on the DRGs will be provided in the official open call documentation. This information presented here is only for information purposes only, and it serves to guide you to think in this direction of what is your prior experience, and how will you embed all these requirements and details into your future solution. When it comes to technologies in focus, again, the list here is preliminary. In essence, we're looking for solutions based on decentralized identities, zero knowledge proofs, responsible AI methods, and similar. So when combined, our non-technical requirements, when they're embedded into these technologies in focus, they should be a guarantee that your solutions are based and fully robust to achieve this trustworthy by default food system. Again, this is only a preliminary overview. Please pay attention to our open call documentation and follow up on our activities in the coming months until the call is open. I already mentioned that our program is divided into 3 stages, from planning to piloting and scaling up. The planning is the first one, where your projects are expected to be planned in more detail. We expect to see your detailed work plan, the specifications of your solutions, based on which you will be evaluated, and then a percentage of the funding will be released to you so that you can continue your work throughout research and development and piloting phase, which is the longest one, where most of the focus will be on the technical development, although you will receive in the form of group webinars, you will receive also business support to help you prepare for the final stage. Again, at the end of the stage, your pilots will be evaluated, and based on the positive feedback, positive evaluation, the second percentage of the total amount of your budget will be released, and then you enter the last phase, which is all about scaling up, ensuring your solutions have been matured enough so that you can ensure basically post-project sustainability, and that you have links, established links with potential investors, customers, and similar. At the end of this stage, upon the positive evaluation of your business plan, you will receive the rest of your expected budget. Not to forget the last but not the least, we expect only one proposal from each applicant, so multiple submissions are not allowed. Please be focused. If you're applying, please make sure that it is only within one consortium. Of course, you can resubmit your proposal if you don't get accepted in the first open call. This is completely fine for us. The maximum amount is 300,000 euros, but please be careful. Take into consideration the technology readiness level, the duration of the project, the size of your team, and be realistic when it comes to your budget. There will be a funding limitation. So if you're participating in both DRG and Foodity open calls, please bear in mind that we will set a preliminary target budget that you can receive, that one single entity can receive in both projects is 150,000 euros. This is only preliminary. Official information will be provided in September and October when the calls actually start. How to apply? Check our guide for applicants on October 1st. Please don't forget to upload any necessary annexes. We will only evaluate and consider eligible those proposals that submit all the required documentation. We will receive applications only through F6S. No other means will be accepted. And lastly, to close off, I would like to invite you to our brokerage and matchmaking session. We have seen that similar activities were quite useful for our past similar calls. So if you want to apply but need help in finding the correct partners, please join us in our online meet and match session on Thursday, September 21st. You will be able to pitch your proposed solution, but only in the details that do not reveal too much to potential partners, and after that consider applying together. We will officially announce this session through our website and social channels. And if you have any further questions about the open call or the matchmaking possibilities, please get in touch with us either through our website or through LinkedIn. Again, thank you for the attention, and save the date, October 1st, for the official open call launch. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Maja. Thank you, Sam, for presenting the projects. I see some first questions are coming in.
Yes.
Feel free to put more questions. And give back to you.
Question from Nico. What kind of solutions are we looking for in Foodity? A new alternative to Google Health or a solution that could be used to ensure Google Health respects data sovereignty? Sam?
Yeah, that's targeted to us. So thank you, Kaya. Thank you, Maja, and thank you also, Nikos, for the very relevant question. So it's the type of solutions. Again, we're very open. I'm not sure if it's worth sharing my screen again. Maybe I'll do it for the sake of just a quick clarification, if I may. So sorry for this. Well, let me try to move some windows around. Okay, so we're looking at three main areas. I hope you can see my screen. I think so, yeah. So we're looking for data for food nutrition, data for food sustainability, data for shopping experiences. This Google Health alternative would maybe be more of an open challenge. So it would be acceptable. I can't say that I know exactly. I've used Google Fit, which, I'm not sure if it's exactly the same thing as Google Health. Maybe Health is a bit more robust in terms of functionalities. I would probably expect it to be. That could eventually be a solution, yes. It's data driven, of course, if it's collecting data from citizens. But of course, I would also suspect that going back to your original question, let me just take a minute. So using two screens isn't always the easiest thing to do. Give me a second. I know we've been mastering this experience for the past 3 years, but still there's always challenges. So an alternative to Google Health could be something that you could explore, as long as you keep in mind that we're looking for you to be able to collect data, but I'll also allow the citizens that give up their data to do whatever they want, okay, to make it interoperable with another solution that might come out of this open call, or others that might exist out there that are sort of open, that sort of fill into the openness principle. Whether or not this could be compatible with Google Health is another question, because I would think there might be some difficulty in ensuring that Google allows the data that it has from all users to be deleted or to be interoperable with other solutions. So I would be thinking that maybe your best bet is something more like isolated and not so dependent on Google Health, if that makes sense. But feel free to reach out, and we can, of course, exchange some more ideas if this answer wasn't sufficiently clear to you. Okay, but in general, it could fit well within this open challenge, out of the box idea that we're looking for as well. Maybe if I can just continue, because I saw something else in the TRL related to the TRL in the countries targeted to both projects. So now that I'm just with the mic open, in terms of innovation, we're looking at a minimum of 5. Okay, starting at 5. I think this is what I'm pretty sure this is what we've agreed, and looking to reach at least 7. So there has to be a high level validation of the solution. That's why we want it to be very clear how you're going to involve citizens to test these solutions, to validate, to make their, offer up their data, to see how it can be transferable, deletable, etc. And in terms of countries, or at least from our end, there are no specific limitations. So that means you can have a partner from France and then from Germany, or 2 from Italy, just as an example. So you can change however you want, as long as you're involving the type of entities that we're looking for. Back to further questions.
Thank you. Another question from George. What should be the TRL of the solutions technologies entering the challenge, and what is the expected technology readiness level advancement? It's a question for both projects. For DRG4FOOD, the starting TRL is 3 to 4 until 5 or 6. Sam, and for Foodity?
Yeah, what I just briefly mentioned. We're looking at 5 up to 7.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Another question from Domini. The 2 open calls are separate, aren't they? We could apply for just one of them. Yes, they're completely separate open calls, separate projects. You can apply for both. However, there is a strict rule from the Commission stating that you cannot receive double funding for the same solution. So if you're applying, please make sure that you're applying with 2 completely different projects, and pay attention to what you're proposing doesn't involve the same people who will be working on those projects. Sam, do you have anything to add?
No, I think you mentioned it quite nicely. So we're separate, but you can choose however you want to take the approach, as long as you're not double funded.
Yes. The DRG4Food call, is it open to B2B rather than B2C solutions? No, we are not limiting the model. So it's only the solutions that we're looking for, the consortium that you're looking for should have also an end user involved. But the end business model, it's up to you. From Aneta, can you please post links to the both calls here? Yes, okay, someone already replied, thank you. Andrea, just to be on the safe side, the calls are not open yet. Foodity opens in September, whereas DRG4Food opens in October. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Do we have anyone else who would like us? George, is it possible to open the matchmaking platform and see interested stakeholders before September? Yes. We will be working on this. We will post an application form on F6S platform. Again, on the safe side, this is only for the DRG4Food open call. We will open the application, promote on social media, and we'll make some ways to make sure that the participants, interested parties, are visible there. Domini, no, there is no limitation. We accept both B2B and B2C solutions. So this is, both are fine for us.
Maybe Maja, if I can say just one quick thing to this. So yeah, exactly like you said. So it's not so much B2B or B2C as a differentiator. The use cases we have from DRG4Food are both consumer use cases in the end, because one is the personalized nutrition and the other one is the digital tracking of food and nutrition related to consumer behavior. So you should always have the consumer in mind, let's say. What we're looking for in open call number one, and there's a second one coming up next year. In open call number one, we're looking more for enablers, baseline technologies and enablers that we will put into a so-called toolbox that then can be used to, let's say, do actual front consumer-facing applications. So yes, in that sense, and maybe that is what you're hinting at a little bit, Domini. Yes, in that sense, in the first open call, we're looking more for, let's say, baseline enablers, baseline technologies that then can fit into an open source toolbox, and later flow into more consumer-facing applications. Maybe that clarifies a little bit to that end.
Okay, anyone else? No one. Then I suggest that we close the session for today. Thank you everyone for joining us. It was a pleasure to host this pre-open call webinar today. Please stay in touch with us through our social media. We are quite active, both of the projects. And of course, more information on DRG4Food brokerage and matchmaking event will come up in the next couple of days.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
See you soon.
Bye.